The sharp crack of skin against skin never came. Elena Cruz's fingers locked around Victoria Hale's wrist in midair, stopping the slap just inches from her face. The force of it sent a ripple through the room, as if the mansion itself had gasped. Crystal chandeliers trembled slightly above them, reflecting the frozen shock on every face present. For a split second, no one breathed. Victoria's arm trembled in Elena's grip. Her manicured nails dug into the air as she tried to yank herself free, but the young maid didn't let go. Elena's heartbeat thundered in her ears, loud enough to drown out the crackling fireplace behind her. She could feel the warmth of Victoria's skin, the tension coiled beneath it, the disbelief radiating from her like heat. "How dare you?" Victoria hissed, her voice low and venomous. "Let go of me. Now." Elena said nothing. Her eyes remained steady, dark, and unblinking. Around them, the staff stood frozen. A chef still held a silver tray mid-step. A housekeeper's hand hovered uselessly near her chest. Two security guards exchanged uncertain glances, unsure whether to intervene. No one in the Cole estate had ever seen this happen. No one had ever stopped Victoria Hale. At the foot of the staircase, partially hidden by the curve of polished oak, Nathaniel Cole stood in silence. He had been walking down to the study when the raised voice caught his attention. At first, he dismissed it as another minor disagreement, something he had learned, perhaps too conveniently, to ignore. But then he saw the scene unfold. He saw Victoria's raised hand. He saw the familiar rage twisting her beautiful features. And then he saw Elena stop her. Something shifted inside him. Victoria twisted again, harder this time, her heels scraping against the marble floor. "Do you know who I am?" she snapped. "You are nothing here. You're a nobody. I can have you thrown out into the snow this instant." Elena finally spoke, her voice quiet but unshaking. "You will not hit me." The words landed heavier than a shout. Nathaniel felt his chest tighten. Victoria laughed sharply, disbelief cracking her composure. "Oh, you think you have power now? Because you caught my hand." She leaned in close to Elena's face, her smile thin and cruel. "Let me remind you where you stand." Before Elena could respond, a firm voice cut through the tension. "That's enough." Victoria stiffened. Slowly, she turned. Nathaniel stepped forward into the light, his expression unreadable. The staff parted instinctively as he approached, his presence commanding without effort. He stopped a few feet away, his gaze fixed not on Elena, but on the hand Victoria still struggled to free. "Release her," Victoria said quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Nathaniel, this girl was..." "Elena," Nathaniel said calmly. Both women froze. He looked at the maid. "You can let go." Elena released Victoria's wrist at once and stepped back, her hands curling into fists at her sides. Victoria recoiled as if burned, rubbing her arm and glaring daggers at the maid. "She disrespected me," Victoria said, her voice rising. "She laid hands on me in front of everyone." Nathaniel didn't answer immediately. His eyes moved slowly around the room, taking in the stunned staff, the fear he had never wanted to acknowledge. Then he looked back at Victoria. "I saw what happened," he said. The silence that followed was heavier than before. Victoria's smile faltered. 3 weeks earlier, Elena Cruz had stood outside the iron gates of the Cole estate with a single suitcase and numbed fingers buried deep in her coat pockets. Anchorage winter bit hard, and the wind off Cook Inlet cut through layers like a blade. She had almost turned back, fear clawing at her chest, but the thought of her mother lying weak and pale in a cramped coastal clinic pushed her forward. The estate rose from the snow like something unreal. Tall windows, steel gates, guards with earpieces and unreadable faces. Inside, the warmth had shocked her. The smell of polished wood and fresh bread. The quiet hum of wealth. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Alden, had shown her around with brisk efficiency. "You do your job, you keep your head down," she'd said softly as they passed the east wing. "And whatever happens, you don't argue with Miss Hale." Elena had nodded, not fully understanding. She understood by the second day. Victoria Hale moved through the house like a queen surveying conquered land. Her heels echoed, her voice sliced. She criticized everything. The dust that wasn't there, the soup that wasn't hot enough, the way someone breathed too loudly near her. Nathaniel was rarely present during these moments. When he was, Victoria transformed. Her laughter softened. Her cruelty vanished behind charm and affectionate touches. The staff learned to survive by staying invisible. Elena watched quietly. She did her work meticulously. She spoke when spoken to. But something inside her hardened with each insult she witnessed. With each flinch from an older maid. With each apology that wasn't deserved. On her third day, Victoria's heirloom bracelet disappeared. The accusation came swift and loud. "You thieves think I won't notice?" Victoria shouted in the main hall, her voice echoing off the walls. "All of you standing there with your empty eyes. One of you took it." No one spoke. Victoria's gaze landed on Elena. "You, the new one. Where were you this morning?" "In the linen room," Elena answered calmly. "Liar." Victoria stepped forward and slapped the nearest maid, an older woman who cried out and staggered. "Confess." That was when Victoria turned on Elena, rage blazing, her hand lifting. And Elena stopped it. Back in the present, Nathaniel's silence stretched uncomfortably. Victoria recovered first. "Nathaniel, darling," she said, stepping closer to him. "You know how stressful planning a wedding is. These people push buttons. They forget their place." Nathaniel looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. "Everyone here has a place," he said quietly. "And it's not under your hand." Victoria's face flushed. "Are you choosing a maid over me?" Before he could answer, the sound of the front doors opening echoed through the hall. A woman in her late 60s entered, her posture straight, her eyes sharp with experience. Snow dusted her coat. She took in the scene in one glance. "Victoria," she said flatly, "what have you done now?" Victoria went pale. "Mags," she whispered. Margaret Holloway stepped fully into the room, her gaze flicking from Elena to Nathaniel, then back to Victoria. "I warned you," she said. "I warned your father. And now it seems I've arrived just in time." Nathaniel frowned. "You know each other?" Victoria's hands trembled. Before she could answer, hurried footsteps approached from the corridor. A man's voice, strained and panicked, rang out. "Victoria!" Edgar Hale burst into the hall, his face drained of color as his eyes landed on his daughter. "We need to talk," he said hoarsely. "Right now." Victoria shook her head violently. "No, not here." Edgar looked at Nathaniel, then at the staff watching from every corner. His voice dropped, heavy with dread. "It can't be hidden anymore." Nathaniel felt a cold settle in his stomach as he realized whatever was about to be revealed would change everything. Edgar Hale swallowed hard, his eyes darting to Victoria as if hoping she would stop him. She didn't. Her lips were pressed tight, her confidence draining away like melting ice. "Not here," she said again, her voice cracking. "Dad, please." Nathaniel stepped forward, his tone calm but firm. "If it concerns what just happened in my home, then here is exactly where it should be said." Margaret Holloway nodded in agreement. "He deserves to know." Victoria let out a shaky laugh. "Know what? This is ridiculous. You're all overreacting." Edgar's shoulders slumped. He looked suddenly older, burdened by something he had carried too long. "Years ago," he began, his voice barely audible at first, "we lived in Juneau." Victoria was still in school then. Victoria shook her head violently. "Stop it. There was a girl," Edgar continued, forcing the words out. "She worked part-time in our home. Quiet child. Polite. Poor family." The room seemed to shrink. One afternoon, something went missing, Edgar said. "A necklace." Victoria accused the girl. "I didn't mean," Victoria started, but Margaret cut her off with a sharp look. Edgar's voice broke. There was shouting, pushing. The girl ran. It was winter. Ice on the steps behind the house. He closed his eyes. She slipped, hit her head. A collective gasp rippled through the room. "She died before the ambulance arrived," Edgar whispered. Elena felt her stomach twist. The image rose unbidden in her mind. Cold steps, fear, a young girl running for her life. Victoria's composure shattered. "I was a teenager," she cried. "I didn't touch her. She fell. It was an accident." "You chased her," Edgar said quietly. "And we covered it up." Nathaniel felt as though the floor had dropped away beneath him. "Covered it up," he repeated. Edgar nodded slowly. "We paid. We silenced people. The case was ruled an accident. The family was poor. They had no voice." Victoria rushed toward Nathaniel, clutching his arm. "You can't judge me for something from so long ago. I was young. I was scared." Nathaniel gently but firmly removed her hand. His eyes were distant, wounded. "Someone is dead." Before anyone could speak again, a thunderous knock echoed through the mansion. Once, twice, then again, harder. Security stiffened. Mrs. Alden crossed herself. A voice boomed from beyond the door, thick with restrained fury. "I'm looking for Victoria Hale." Victoria's breath hitched. Her knees nearly buckled. Edgar turned pale. "He found us," he murmured. Nathaniel straightened. "Who?" "The girl's brother," Edgar said. "Daniel Reyes." Another knock. Louder. Insistent. Nathaniel didn't hesitate. "Let him in." "No." Victoria screamed. "Nathaniel, please. Don't do this." But it was already done. The doors opened, letting in a blast of icy air and a tall man wrapped in a dark coat dusted with snow. His eyes were sharp, tired, burning with something that had been waiting years to be unleashed. In his hand was a worn photograph, edges frayed from handling. He stepped inside slowly, taking in the opulence, the chandeliers, the expensive silence. His gaze locked onto Victoria. "There you are," Daniel said quietly. "I almost didn't recognize you without the lies." Victoria backed away until she hit the wall. "I don't know you." Daniel laughed softly, without humor. "You knew my sister." He held up the photograph. A smiling young woman stared back, her eyes gentle and unaware of her fate. "This is Rosa," Daniel said. "She trusted you." Nathaniel moved to stand between them instinctively. "I'm Nathaniel Cole." Daniel nodded. "I know who you are. And I know who she pretended to be." His eyes flicked to Victoria. "I've been looking for you for years." Victoria slid down the wall, shaking. "It was an accident." "That's what your money said," Daniel replied. "But accidents don't come with threats. Accidents don't come with silence paid for." The room held its breath as Daniel spoke of sleepless nights, of unanswered questions, of a family left broken. "I didn't come here to hurt you," he said finally. "I came so you would say it. Out loud. For once." Victoria sobbed, her hands covering her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't think she would die." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You didn't think she mattered." The weight of those words crushed the room. Victoria's body went slack. She collapsed, fainting onto the marble floor. As security rushed forward, something slid from her coat pocket and skidded across the floor, stopping near Elena's feet. A phone. Its screen lit up with a notification. Elena hesitated, then picked it up and handed it to Nathaniel. His eyes fell on the message preview. Everything changed. His face drained of color as he unlocked the screen. Message after message appeared, conversations marked with a single initial. Plans. Calculations. Margaret leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. "What is it?" Nathaniel swallowed. "This isn't just about the past." Daniel peered over his shoulder. "Read it." Nathaniel scrolled, each line cutting deeper than the last. She had planned the marriage. Detailed timelines. Discussions about assets. Notes on controlling public perception. And then, an audio file. "Play it," Daniel said. Nathaniel hesitated, his finger hovering. Then he pressed it. Victoria's voice filled the room, clear and cold. "If he ever tries to leave," the recording said, "I'll remind him what I have. His mother trusted me once." People would love to hear that story. Nathaniel's breath caught painfully in his chest. His mother, gone 5 years now. Gentle, private. The thought of her being used as leverage made his vision blur. The recording ended. Silence followed, thick, suffocating. Nathaniel closed his eyes. When he opened them, tears slipped free, unashamed. "It was never love," he said quietly. "It was a transaction." Victoria stirred weakly on the floor. "Nathaniel," she croaked. "Please. I loved you." He looked at her, truly looked, and saw nothing he recognized. "The wedding is over," he said. "And whatever shield protected you before, it's gone." Daniel straightened, relief and sorrow mingling on his face. "I'll be reopening the case," he said, "with the authorities." Edgar sank into a chair, defeated. "I won't stop it." When Victoria was led away later, her cries echoed briefly, then faded into the Alaskan night. The mansion felt different after. Lighter, as if something poisonous had finally been removed. Nathaniel stood in the hall, exhaustion etched into his features. He turned to Elena, who stood quietly near the wall. "You didn't have to do what you did," he said softly. "But you did." Elena lowered her gaze. "I just didn't want to be afraid anymore." Nathaniel nodded slowly. "Neither did my mother." He paused, then added, "She used to say courage isn't loud. It's standing firm when silence is easier." Elena felt warmth bloom in her chest despite the cold outside. Beyond the windows, snow continued to fall, blanketing the ground, covering old footprints, leaving room for something new to begin. If you're enjoying this story, kindly encourage us to create more of it by subscribing to our channel. Thank you. We appreciate your kindness. And now back to the story. Morning crept into the estate quietly, pale lights spilling across the snow like a cautious apology. The night's chaos still lingered in the air, heavy and unresolved, but the house itself seemed to breathe again. For the first time since Elena had arrived, the silence felt peaceful rather than tense. Elena stood in the servant's kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug of lukewarm tea she had forgotten to drink. Sleep had barely touched her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Victoria's raised hand, heard the crack in Edgar Hale's voice, replayed Nathaniel's face as the recording played. It felt unreal that she had been at the center of it all. Footsteps approached. Mrs. Alden entered, her usually stern face softer than Elena had ever seen it. "You should rest," the older woman said gently. "No one would blame you if you took the day." Elena shook her head. "I'm fine." Mrs. Alden studied her for a moment, then nodded. "You did something brave yesterday. The kind of brave most people pray they never have to be." Elena didn't know how to respond. She had not felt brave. She had felt tired. Tired of watching cruelty pass as authority. Tired of shrinking. News traveled fast, even in a house as isolated as the Cole estate. By mid-morning, whispers filled the corridors. Some were fearful, some relieved, some incredulous. The staff moved with lighter steps, shoulders no longer hunched as if expecting a blow. Nathaniel spent the early hours in his study, staring out at the frozen expanse beyond the glass. The betrayal sat heavy in his chest, but beneath it was something else, a clarity he hadn't felt in years. The realization that kindness without vigilance had allowed harm to thrive under his roof. When he finally emerged, the house stilled. He gathered the staff in the main hall, standing where the confrontation had unfolded only hours earlier. Elena stood at the back, unsure why her hands trembled now when they hadn't been. "I owe all of you an apology," Nathaniel began. His voice carried, calm but sincere, "for what was allowed to happen here, for what I failed to see." No one spoke. "This house will no longer be a place of fear," he continued. "Respect is not conditional. Not here." A murmur rippled through the group, disbelief giving way to hope. Nathaniel's gaze found Elena. "And I owe a particular thanks to someone who reminded me of that." Every eye turned. Elena's face burned. She wanted to disappear into the floor. "She stood up when it was difficult," Nathaniel said. "Not out of anger. Out of principle." He inclined his head to her. The gesture was simple. The impact was not. After the gathering dispersed, Margaret Holloway approached Elena near the window overlooking the frozen trees. "You have steel in you," Margaret said. "Quiet steel. That's rare." Elena managed a small smile. "I didn't plan it." Margaret chuckled. No one ever plans their defining moment. By afternoon, authorities arrived. Questions were asked. Statements taken. Nathaniel cooperated fully, offering access to anything required. Daniel Reyes returned later that day, accompanied by an officer. His face looked different, still etched with grief, but lighter, as though a weight long carried had finally shifted. He found Elena near the back entrance, pulling on her coat. "I wanted to thank you," he said. Elena hesitated. "I didn't do it for you." "I know," Daniel replied. "That's why it matters." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the snow drift down. "My sister used to say winter shows you who you really are," Daniel added. "Because there's nowhere to hide." Elena nodded. She understood that now. Days passed. The estate settled into a new rhythm. Victoria's name was no longer spoken aloud, but her absence was felt. In the ease of laughter, in the way no one flinched when footsteps echoed down the hall. Nathaniel canceled the wedding publicly, issuing a brief statement that made no mention of scandal, only of truth and accountability. The media speculated wildly, but inside the estate, there was no doubt about what had been lost, or what had been saved. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the snow in soft gold, Nathaniel found Elena in the library, dusting shelves. "You don't have to keep working tonight," he said. Elena turned, startled. "I was just finishing up." He nodded, then hesitated, as if choosing his words carefully. "I wanted you to know something. Whatever happens next, with the investigation, with my life, you have a place here. If you want it." Elena met his gaze. There was no pity there, no superiority, only respect. "Thank you," she said quietly. Nathaniel glanced around the library, then back at her. My mother loved this room. She believed stories mattered, that they shaped how we treated people. He paused. She would have liked you. The words settled deep in Elena's chest. Later that night, Elena stood by her small window in the staff quarters, phone pressed to her ear as she spoke to her mother. She told her everything. Not the names, not the wealth, but the moment she decided she would not bow her head anymore. I'm proud of you, her mother whispered through the crackling line. No matter where you are. Elena closed her eyes, tears slipping free. Outside, the Alaskan night stretched wide and endless, cold and beautiful. The snow kept falling, covering the past in layers of white, not erasing it, but softening its sharpest edges. And inside the grand estate that once echoed with fear, a new chapter was quietly, firmly, being written. If you're enjoying this story, kindly encourage us to create more of it by subscribing to our channel. Thank you, we appreciate your kindness. And now back to the story. The snowstorm arrived without warning that night, fierce and unrelenting, swallowing the road that led away from the estate. Wind howled like something alive, rattling the tall windows and burying the past beneath fresh white silence. Inside, lights burned warm, steady, defiant against the cold. Elena lay awake long after the house settled, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, her chest didn't feel tight with fear about tomorrow. Instead, there was uncertainty of a different kind, open, frightening, but full of possibility. At dawn, sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Red and blue lights cut through the gray morning as state investigators returned, this time with federal officers. News had spread. Too many doors had opened at once for the truth to be shut again. Victoria Hale was formally charged before noon. Cameras captured her being escorted through the courthouse steps in Anchorage. Designer coat replaced with a neutral jacket, her head lowered, no longer shielded by smiles or influence. The headlines came fast and brutal. Old whispers turned into confirmed reports. Other former employees came forward. Patterns emerged. What had once been dismissed as temper became undeniable cruelty. Nathaniel watched none of it live. He stood instead in the quiet of his study, holding a small framed photograph of his mother, fingers tracing the edge. I should have seen it, he said softly, as if she could hear him. The housekeeper knocked gently before entering. She's here, Mrs. Alden said. Nathaniel nodded. Thank you. Elena stepped in hesitantly. She looked smaller in the vast room, but there was nothing fragile about her anymore. Nathaniel gestured for her to sit, then surprised her by sitting as well, removing the invisible distance that wealth usually demanded. I've made a decision, he said. About this house. About the company. About myself. Elena listened. I built my life believing that being good meant being generous, Nathaniel continued. I see now that generosity without accountability becomes permission. He met her eyes. I want to change how things work here, starting with how people are treated. And I want people around me who will speak up when I'm wrong. Elena's heart beat faster. What are you saying? I'm asking you to stay, he said simply. Not as someone invisible, as someone whose voice matters. The weight of the offer settled slowly. I don't know if I'm the right person, Elena said honestly. Nathaniel smiled faintly. That's exactly why you are. Weeks passed. Winter tightened its grip on Alaska, but inside the coal estate, warmth grew in unexpected ways. Policies were rewritten. Staff meetings became conversations, not commands. Salaries were reviewed. Old grievances were addressed instead of buried. The story didn't end quietly. Daniel Reyes stood beside Elena one afternoon outside the courthouse, the cold biting through their coats as a judge's gavel echoed inside. When the verdict was read, when accountability finally took shape, Daniel exhaled a breath he'd been holding for nearly a decade. She mattered, he said, voice thick. Now the world knows. Elena squeezed his hand. She always did. As they walked away, reporters shouted questions. Daniel answered only one. What made this possible? He glanced at Elena. Someone refused to look away. That clip spread faster than any scandal. Online, people argued. Some defended Victoria. Many didn't. Comment sections filled with anger, relief, disbelief. Survivors shared their own stories. Employees across the country recognized pieces of their lives and what had happened behind those polished walls. And in the middle of it all, one question kept repeating. Who was the maid? The answer came not from tabloids, but from Nathaniel himself. At a charity gala weeks later, cameras flashed as he stepped onto the stage. The room quieted, expecting announcements about donations or expansion plans. Instead, he spoke about responsibility, about blindness, about courage. Then he did something no one expected. "I want to recognize someone," he said, turning slightly. "Not for loyalty, not for silence, but for integrity." Elena's breath caught as he called her name. She walked onto the stage slowly, every step echoing louder than her fear. She felt hundreds of eyes on her, curious, judging, inspired. "This woman reminded me of who I wanted to be," Nathaniel said, "and who I failed to be for too long." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then swelling, filling the room. Elena stood there, stunned, as people rose to their feet. Later that night, alone in her small room, Elena opened her phone. Messages flooded in, strangers thanking her, workers sharing their stories, people saying they felt seen. She set the phone down, overwhelmed. Outside her window, the northern lights shimmered faintly across the sky, ribbons of green and violet dancing over the frozen land. Elena watched them quietly, a soft smile forming. She thought of the girl in the photograph, of her mother, of the version of herself who had once believed silence was survival. That girl felt far away now. Nathaniel stood in the doorway, unseen, watching the reflection of the lights in the glass. He realized then that the bravest people rarely arrived loudly. They came quietly, they stayed, and they changed everything. The future was uncertain. Lawsuits would come. More truths might surface. Healing was not a straight line, but something fundamental had shifted. The house no longer belonged to fear. And somewhere, in the quiet between snowfall and dawn, a new kind of story had begun. One where power listened, truth stood firm, and silence was no longer the price of survival.